What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Robbie Cassidy, and on this episode of the podcast, we are going to look at how to improve your sleep, but we're going to look at it from the aspect of when you're waking up or when you have pain at nighttime and you're trying to get to sleep. And it's actually a question that popped up in the Back Pain Back to Exercise group this week, where there's a few people who are dealing with pain, whether it's they can't get to sleep because of the pain or because of they are in bed and then they're waking up at night with issues going on. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions around what causes pain at night, but the first thing I'm going to say is that if it's something that you're afraid of, if it's an unrelenting pain, if it's a pain that you can't really stand, it's definitely worth first reaching out to your doctor, making sure that everything is clear, and then start to apply the principles in this podcast after that. Okay, so very first thing to jump right into it. When we're looking at pain at night, oftentimes, especially when it comes to a back issue, people are told that you're supposed to sleep a certain way. Now, this is a massive misconception, and it comes back to the idea of, like, if you think about how the body has adapted over the last thousands of years or millions of years, we've been sleeping on hard surfaces, we've been sleeping on cave floors, uncomfortable areas that would be considered uncomfortable, let's say, but now, for whatever reason, we feel that we have to sleep in a perfectly comfortable area that has a perfect positioning. Now, I'm not saying that that's wrong, and I'm not telling people to start sleeping on the floor, but we have to keep that in mind when people are giving us advice about how to sleep and sleep in positions where you should have your neck in a certain position, or you should have certain pillows between your legs, pillows between your legs, or that you need to be hugging it, and then you need to lie on your back, or you need to lie in whatever, your front or your side or whatever. Now, the only thing I would say, the kind of main caveat to that, is that I would first off say that none of that is true, that you have to sleep anywhere with any of those extra gadgets or extra pillows. It just doesn't make sense. But I would say that we should try avoid sleeping on our back, because when you sleep on your back, you're more likely to suffer from sleep apnea because your tongue falls to the back of your mouth, and this causes it restricts your breathing. So now, not everybody, and some people will get away with it, but it's definitely more beneficial to try avoid sleep apnea if possible. And if that's one of the biggest causes, where you become a mouth breather, then we should avoid that. I would expect people to agree with that. Now, as I say, everything is not the same for everybody. So we'll talk about principles here, and that's in the program last night on the call. A big thing I kept on repeating is we are working on the principles here. We're working on what we can improve on the day-to-day and what is the same across the board, no matter what. And that's why when you look at these things about how people talk about the myths, the misconceptions of some of the issues of back pain, many of them go against the principles, and sleeping position is one of them, and posture is another one. There's loads. Degenerative disease is another one. There's lots and lots of that. Wear and tear. Anyway, we won't get into all those right now, because this is going to be about sleep and pain. So first off, what I want you to think about is, let's think inversely about this, okay? And what I mean by that is, let's think about, let's reverse the question. Instead of saying, how can we get a perfect night's sleep? How can we guarantee that we're going to have pain all night? And when we look at it this way, we kind of take out the main factors that could guarantee we'll have pain at night. Generally, we can focus on then, okay, well, if we avoid these, it's going to set a good foundation and we can improve. And then we can start to look at the more, I guess, specific tips that work for people then after that. Okay, so the very first one is to do nothing all day, or to sit down all day. If you're just sitting down all day long, you're on a computer or you're watching TV and you're not doing a whole lot, it's going to have a huge effect on your sleep at night, because you're going to have this energy that's bundled up, and when you go to bed, you're going to be lying in bed awake, or you're not going to feel as tired. Okay, so that's an important one. The next one then is going to be avoid drinking water during the day, where you don't drink any water at all, and you go to bed at night and you're feeling dehydrated. That's a guaranteed way to make sure you have pain anyway across the board, and so is do nothing during the day. The other one is staying up really late, where your sleep schedule is completely inconsistent. It's up and down, it's all over the place, and you're always pushing out to watch one more episode on Netflix or watch one more video on TikTok or Instagram. Having no emotional outlet where that kind of comes back to the idea of being bundled up with the energy and you're just sitting there all day. But that's going to be another big one, is having no emotional outlet, that you just have energy going to bed and you're ruminating and you're thinking, and that becomes a bigger issue then because you're sitting awake at night in bed. And what that will cause you to do is then you'll start to catastrophize about the pain. And you'll start to worry about every ache and every pain that you get. What did I do wrong? I'm doing, like, I did something today, or I bent over and I shouldn't have bent over, or I picked that up and I shouldn't have picked that up, and all these other factors will start to come to your mind when generally they don't have much to do with the issue that you're dealing with. Okay, so we need to start working away from those as much as possible. We need to try avoid that catastrophization and instead take more of a proactive outlook towards it, about how we can improve these things. So as I was saying, do nothing all day, just sit down and don't drink any water. Eat really late at nighttime if you want to. And then worry and catastrophize about every pain. Don't do any movement. Don't test it out. Have no emotional outlet. Have no cognitive outlet. Bundle up all your energy and then hold it there right until you go to bed, and then try to release all that energy while you're in bed at night. Or else, if you wanted to, you could just try to really lean into you could really try to avoid any position during the day that's going to cause any pain at all. Okay, that's a really simple one as well to give you more pain at nighttime, is to avoid every movement. So how can we guarantee to have a poor sleep quality then? So now we know what we can do to guarantee pain at night. Let's look at how we can guarantee to have poor sleep quality. And the thing is that we know is sleep quality and quantity is directly correlated to levels of pain. So if you have a poor night's sleep, you're going to have more pain the next day, just as a general. And it's important to remember that. If you're dealing with a recurring or consistent or persistent pain right now, look at your sleep first and look to fix your sleep first. That is the most important thing. You can do all of the massage, all of the dry needle, every exercise. You can have every spiritual outlet. You can have every emotional outlet. But if you're still sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, you're going to have issues with pain. It's going to cause you to have more pain. And the simplest example is, think of when you wake up and you are hungover after a heavy night of drinking, where you're sleep deprived, you're dehydrated, you're fatigued. Then you're going to have a lot more aches and a lot more pains. Okay, so there's more to that. And that's why I really want to push sleep. And it's one of the biggest things that we focus on at the very start in the back pain group. So how can we guarantee to have a poor night of sleep quality? First one, and a very European thing to do, have an espresso just after dinner and have dinner around about 8 o'clock in the evening. Like, guaranteed way, really, really good way of reducing your sleep quality. Even if you can go to sleep, you're still going to affect the quality of sleep, because the caffeine sits there and it affects your ability to get into this REM sleep and deep sleep. Or REM sleep more specifically, but deep sleep also. So you're getting this poor sleep quality, you're sleeping really light at night. So that's a really good one. Drink caffeine late in the day if you want to have a bad sleep that night. Now, caffeine can be coffee, or it can be energy drinks because you want to go to the gym, like a pre-workout or whatever. Or it could be a cup of tea, which people generally don't qualify as caffeine. They say, I love having a cup of tea at night. I don't. That's perfect. But we need to understand that the caffeine is going to affect your sleep quality. So let's try get a decaffeinated tea, and you can still have that cup of tea at night that it's enjoyable, but it's not caffeinated. You're not affecting your sleep, and you're going to be able to get to sleep, and then you're going to improve your pain. So we need to prioritize. Is having a caffeinated tea at nighttime better than having pain all day, every day? And when you find out which one is more important to you, then you can look to improve it. But the reason I say that, and the reason I make emphasize that point, is so many people don't qualify tea as a caffeinated drink for them because they're so used to drinking it at night and they still go to sleep after. But it will have an effect on your quality of sleep. It's so important to understand that. So we need to change that. And you can get decaffeinated versions of tea at Aldi, at Lidl, and it's the same, very, very similar, if not the same as the normal tea. Now, green tea is one that people often change to, but green tea also has caffeine in it. So just be careful of that as well, because you need to find a decaffeinated version of green tea. So yeah, that's definitely one that people do. Eating late at night. This is one that I get caught with myself, especially if I'm working, I have to go to the gym and I have to come back. But if you eat late at night, it's going to take you a lot longer to go to bed. So you should be giving yourself at least 2 hours before bed when you eat, if more if possible, okay? because you're going to be lying in bed, you're going to be awake, and you're not going to know why, but it's because of the fact that you've just had a heavy meal, or an hour or 2 hours before you've eaten a lot, and you're now lying in bed asleep or awake. Okay, so that's an important one. Obviously, sugar is another big one as well. I remember chatting to a guy before and asking him about his sleep, and he was saying, he said, Mike, I can't get to sleep at night. I don't know what it is. There's something affecting it. And I was chatting to him about, do you have caffeine? No. Do you have whatever, anything, sugar, anything like that? And he was bringing a can of Coke to bed with him at night, where he was just drinking a can of Coke at night. That's another one that's a really important one. Like, they slip in the amount of sugar in Coke, but the amount of caffeine in Coke as well. So we need to be careful of not letting those little old habits have an effect on us. And sometimes what feels like an old habit just has kind of resurfaced. It might have been something you did before and then you stopped doing it, it's resurfaced, and now the pain has resurfaced at the same time. And sometimes just fixing your sleep can get rid of your pain. Okay, so if we can do something as simple as this, you'll be surprised with how much of an effect it can have. And to follow up to eating late at night, as I mentioned there, working out late at night as well is another big one to affect your sleep, because your heart rate is going to be up. It's going to take you a lot longer to get to sleep. Working out, as you'll hear me say, is one of the best ways to improve your sleep. But if you're doing it too late at night, it's gonna carry over to your sleep. Okay, so be careful with that. And as I mentioned above, have an inconsistent sleep pattern. This is a good way of guaranteeing poor quality sleep, where you don't go to bed at the same time every night, where your bedtime is chopping and changing, where you are going to bed at 9 one night and you're going to bed at 1 the next, and you're going to bed at 11, and then you're going to bed at 2 or 3, and it's going up and down and all over the place. Really good way of having poor quality sleep, because your body's circadian rhythm doesn't get to normalize and your sleep rhythm doesn't get to normalize. So it's going to affect your ability to get into REM sleep and deep sleep. And as we know, deep sleep is how the body recovers, REM sleep is how the mind recovers. Okay, and we need both of them. That's a very basic way of looking at it. The other one that people probably, one of the most common ones, is being on your phone right up until you go to bed. Now, this is one that people will argue against. It doesn't affect me because I do it all the time. But I guarantee you, watch out the next time you do it. Go on TikTok or go on Instagram right up until you go to bed, scrolling through reels, put your phone down, put it off to the side, and see if it takes you more than 30 minutes to fall asleep after you've done that. Now, 30 minutes is a big block. Generally, we should be looking at 7 to 10 minutes to fall asleep. But if you're on your phone, it's going to extend that time. Now, everyone gets caught with this. I get caught with this. We all get caught with it. It's just that we need to be more aware of it. Putting it down, watching reels, watching TikTok, being on YouTube too late, watching Netflix. Screen time is going to be a huge one, so we need to be careful of that. But even more so, those things that require a lot of attention, they're going to take it out of you as well. Next one would be sleeping late in the day, where you're napping at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the day, because that's going to pass over and affect your sleep at night. I love a nap, but it's really important to try push that back to between 1 and 2 o'clock in the day, like 8 hours before you go to bed or more. And it shouldn't be too long, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 26 minutes is what NASA says. So whatever fits your schedule, but definitely not over 30 minutes. That's a really important one to watch out for, because we have poor quality sleep, we feel tired, and then we end up napping for 2 or 3 hours, and then we have poor quality sleep the next night because we napped for so long during the day. So just be careful of that, because it catches people as well. And as I was saying, do no exercise during the day. Do nothing to offload energy. This is a really good way of guaranteeing poor sleep, because you're just going to go to bed with loads of energy and you won't be in a sleep state. So it's important. And the last one, have no nighttime routine. Just go straight from your phone to bed. This is one that kind of, it's a little more, how would you say, people don't do it as often, but it can have a huge effect if you do start to implement it. So I'm going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. So once we know what is going to cause poor night's sleep and more pain at night, now we can look at improving it. So we need to avoid those things to start improving it. With sleep, it's about doing what you can during the day to help you at nighttime. Okay, you trying to improve your sleep within 30 minutes before you go to bed or while you're in bed is the wrong time to think about it. You need to think about, how can I improve sleep tomorrow night? That's the best way to do it, because then you'll start acting and behaving in ways that it's going to help you to sleep tomorrow night. So you can't wait until the nighttime to try and improve it. It's too late. Put things in place now so that you can see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And it may take a week to get it right. Once you lay the foundations, depending on what your sleep schedule has been like, once you lay the foundations, it may take a week to really improve on it. So be aware and be like, that can happen to us. And it's important to understand that we need to give it time to readapt. And if we do that, like, I would be avoiding sleeping tablets as much as possible. If your sleep schedule is completely out of the way, you could, like, where you're going to bed at 3 o'clock and you need to bring it back to like a 9 or 10 o'clock. Sometimes using melatonin for 1 or 2 nights can be effective, but as a reset. You don't want to just be using melatonin to go to bed every night, because then it's just going to get rid of, your body won't produce melatonin as much anymore. So trying to use it to reset is okay at times, but not all of the time. That's what athletes use, just to let you know, when they travel to a new time zone, they'll use melatonin to reset their sleep schedule, but they'll only do it for like 1 night or 2 nights, max 3 nights, because you don't want to be taking it consistently. Because once you do it and then you actually get into the routine of it, it's going to improve. So as I said, if you've been out of practice for a while, it takes a bit of time. So you need to continue to build, and you're going to see change eventually. Once you continue to take things off, you'll see change eventually. And it might be just one little small tweak that you make. As I said, it literally could just be stop using reels at night. I've seen that before. Just put your phone down and try to do a bit of reading or journaling or breathing or something that just stops you from scrolling right before you go to bed. Honestly, it could be something as simple as that. Or it could be something as simple as stop drinking a cup of tea at 6 o'clock in the evening that's caffeinated. Do you know? These little things actually have a huge effect on us. And when we can stop doing them, you'll notice these improvements. And especially if we're more on edge with sleep, these little things make a bigger difference. Okay, and you'll find that it will help you in time. Now, what can we actually do to improve our pain at nighttime so we're not going to bed with a load of pain? Well, first off, we need to move more during the day. Once we've put all the things in place to stop us having a bad night's sleep and to stop us having a lot of severe pain, we need to start moving more during the day, where you're getting out for a walk, you're exercising, anything that you can do that's going to help you get that heart rate up a couple of hours before bed, like let's say 3 to 4 hours before bed or during the day at any stage. It's a really, really simple way of improving your sleep the next night. Even if you're tired, even if you're fatigued, you still have to go and do it, and you'll find that it will improve the next night. We often need to offload some energy during the day, whether that be emotional, cognitive, physical energy, but we need an outlet, and exercise is a really, really good way of doing it. It's like you can do it through walking or running or gym. Honestly, it doesn't, whatever suits you, but it's an important tool, and it's really going to improve your sleep when you do it. You just need to avoid doing it too late at night, or it's going to take longer to relax and it's going to take longer to go to bed. So give yourself at least 2 to 3 hours, and it doesn't really matter what specific form of activity or exercise you do, but strength training can work, cardio can work, HIIT training can work. It just depends on what you find works best for you. But activity itself is going to have a huge impact on your pain. It's going to improve it. You just need to find the right dosage and it is all in the dosage. If you haven't done anything and then you go for like a 5k, you're probably going to sleep really well, but the next day you're going to wake up, you're going to be a lot more tight and a lot more sore. Because we need to try avoid that, and we want to build progressively, which is what we're doing right now in the back pain group. We're building progressively towards an exercise routine while we're managing all these other contributing factors to the pain. The next one then is mobility exercises, where you're practicing general movements and mobility exercises alongside breathing. So key. Where you might just do a couple of general movements where you swing your arms, you bend down, touch your toes, you swing out your legs, you do a nice little stretch that you find works for you, or you go through and do a bit more specific mobility routine to try relax the area and try relax the nervous system as a whole. Especially if you carry stress from work back home with you, or if you're working from home and you have that stress, the mobility movement is a great way of kind of bridging that gap. If you don't have exercise, if you've exercised earlier in the day, you can bridge that gap with the mobility and movement to try turn that system down again. And you're focusing on your breathing, nice, slow and controlled, nice and relaxed, focusing on the exhale more while you're really moving through everything, okay? And the thing I often see is people rely on 3 to 4 reps. They stand up and they shake out their hips, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, and then they do the same thing again and they stand up and they swing out their arms, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you feel good after you say, geez, I feel good here. But you need to increase that. It needs to go up to like 15 to 20 reps where you're getting more out of it. And when you do that, then you'll notice that will last a lot longer, and you'll start to get a bit more confident in your body, and you'll start to notice that the pain calms down a lot faster when you're doing those movements with the breathing. But you just need to take the time to combine them, okay? So combine with nice relaxed breathing. Inhale, hold, long exhale, hold, and you'll see how fast it improves, okay? Really, really simple tip, makes a huge difference. Just avoid, like, people will say, I do that, but what you'll often see is they'll do it for like 3 or 4 reps where they just roll out the hips, and they'll be like, I tried it today and it didn't work. But you need to increase that, 15 to 20 reps, really, really important. Even more if you can, and multiple times throughout the day, and vary the movements. The next one then is mindfulness before bed. Using techniques like a body scan is a really simple one, where you start at your head or your toes, whichever one, and you work all the way down, and you are recognizing and you're relaxing each area as you progress down, keeping your breathing nice and relaxed, and trying to exhale any energy that you find along the way or any tension. Just exhale, focus on slowly but surely bringing the whole system into a more relaxed state. Okay. The next one then is journaling. Now, journaling is a really effective method if you have things that are kind of annoying you in the background, or if you find that you're a bit more stressed than usual. With journaling, for some people, if it's going to stir up a lot of emotions, you need to watch out that you don't do it right before bed, and you do it a couple of hours before bed instead. Okay, because I've seen that some people, they do it and they just go to sleep straight away. Other people, they do it, it stirs up emotion, they need a little bit of time to calm that emotion down. So it's better to do it like an hour before bed in that case. Okay, and do something simple, like you can literally just do a mind dump, 5 minutes where you're writing down everything that comes to mind, with no punctuation, no nothing, and you just go through it and put it off to the side then when you're finished. It's really, really effective. But it can help some people, and others, as I said, you need to do it a little bit more before bed to actually get the most out of it. So you do need to get over that initial kind of emotional reaction when you're bringing up, or you're kind of citing these issues again. Now, after that, I mentioned this one earlier, I wanted to come back to it. Having a simple routine before bed, focusing on creating a tranquil environment where you know what couple of things you do before you go to bed each night sets you up for sleep. Generally around about 30 minutes before bed, or an hour. It could be nice where you go about, you brush your teeth, you lock the doors, you turn down all the lights, or you turn off the lights. You might play a bit of music on, if you play an instrument or whatever. You might do that journaling, you might go through your breathing, or you might just set the intention that you're going to go to sleep soon. And you just start to do a little bit of light movement to feel that area out and relax the mind and jump into bed. Okay, but as I said, you're doing it over the space of like 30 to 60 minutes. So it's not just, okay, get it all done right now and go into bed. And that will slowly but surely take you into more of a relaxed state. And it'll help with everything, keeping it more calm, and not just, okay, oh my God, it's 11 o'clock, I need to get to bed right now. You know at 10 o'clock that you start working towards it. Okay, really important one, has a huge effect on us. We just need to implement it a bit more. And a lot of people, when they do this, they start to notice that everything else starts to improve after it. Okay, because if you're waking up with pain in the middle of the night, or if you have a lot of pain going to bed, for whatever reason, your system is still sensitized. So you need to calm that down. For a system to be sensitized, it has to be tending in a fight or flight state. Okay, if it's in a fight or flight state or a sympathetic state, that's not a rest and digest. Obviously, as I say, if you look at it on a spectrum of 0 being rest and digest, asleep, and 10 being panic attack, fight or flight, and you're having a load of pain going into bed, you're probably still being stuck in like a 7 or an 8. So we need to try to bring that 7 or an 8 down to a 4, down to a 3, and slowly but surely calm it down. And if you do this routine over an hour, you're going to find that helps it a lot more, because it gives it a bit of time. You're not trying to turn it off straight away. Not everyone is a high performance athlete that's able to turn it on and turn it off when they need to. Okay, that's what athletes train to do. So in this case, you just need to practice it, improve it, give yourself a couple of weeks. It doesn't need to be done tomorrow. Give yourself a couple of weeks to get it right, and you'll see that it'll slowly but surely start to improve. Okay, just as I said, a red flag, if you are getting unrelenting pain, it's waking you up at night, just make sure to first go to your doctor and make sure everything is clear. Really, really important. But remember, the journey to better night's sleep begins with the choices that you make during the day, today, tomorrow, and the day after. And if you start prioritizing the self-care, mindfulness, getting out, moving around, doing a bit of exercise, that's actually how you start to get back into more deep, rejuvenating sleep. Okay, there is no perfect way to sleep, but there is things that you can do and principles that work to improve your sleep at nighttime. And the more we rely on those and the less we rely on what position exactly we're going to sleep in, the faster you'll see an improvement here. Okay, hopefully that helps. Please reach out, let me know if you have any issues or if you have any questions on that. But that is all I'm going to talk about today. Last thing I would say is, if you are listening to this podcast, if you find it beneficial, I would really, really appreciate if you could rate it on Spotify and on iTunes. I want to get it up to 1,000 ratings. At the moment, I'm definitely not at 1,000 5-star ratings, but it's what my goal is. I want to get there. And as I do, then you'll find that I'll be able to get on a lot more guests on the podcast, because it just shows that the listeners are there, the people that enjoy it, and it's an engaged audience. And then also, if you can, let me know on Instagram if you have any questions. Robbie Cassidy _ it has changed from Mobility Tutor to Robbie Cassidy _ so shoot me a message there if you have any questions you want to follow up to, or if you have any issues that you're dealing with, and I will do my absolute best to help you out or point you in the right direction. But that's all from me today. I will chat to you all again next week. Have a good one.